Hello. So today's our topic is anemia in pregnancy and little bit about PIH in pregnancy we will going to talk. So anemia in pregnancy, when anemia is called, according to the WHO, irrespective of the trimester, hemoglobin less than 10 gram per dl termed as anemia in pregnancy. The basic classification, the anemia is classified as a physiological and the pathological basically, because as we discussed, as a physiological changes during pregnancy, there is a pregnancy is a hemodilution condition, so plasma volume is increased but RBC and WBC remains the same, so it leads to hemodilution and this leads to physiological anemia of the pregnancy. And second is pathological cause. So to develop a physiological anemia, there is no definite cause, but it is commonly we see the physiological anemia. But for developing the pathological anemia, always a cause factor is there. So first is deficiency anemia. The main common anemia found are due to iron deficiency, folic acid deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency and protein deficiency. Then it could be due to hemorrhage. Either hemorrhage in early pregnancy or it may be in late pregnancy as a APH, antepartum hemorrhage. In a chronic, it could be due to bleeding piles, hookworm infestation, etc. Anemia could be due to chronic diseases like the thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, and other hemoglobinopathies. So these are the basic how the anemic patient present in pregnancy. So when we found anemia in pregnancy, we have all these causes keep in our mind. As we discussed, physiological anemia is basically a combined effect of hemodilution and the iron balance, where HB is around 10 gram percentage or below 10 gram percentage. RBC are around 3.2 million. But when you do the peripheral smear, it shows normal morphology of RBC. It is the characteristics of physiological anemia. There is a normal morphology of RBC. Why physiological anemia occur? First most common is hemodilution. Plus in pregnancy, while the baby growth, there is an increased demand of iron, diminished intake due to in first trimester due to nausea, vomiting, there is a diminished intake of iron, diminished absorption, as well as pre-pregnant insufficient iron. Already pre-pregnant condition where hemoglobin is low. So it further reduce the hemoglobin level. Now the pathological cause. The most common is iron deficiency anemia. How the patient present as iron deficiency anemia? It is present as a lethargy, fatigue, weakness, anorexia, indigestion, dyspnea, palpitation, giddiness and the leg cramps. So variety of symptoms the patient present to you. Most are lethargy, fatigue, weakness, anorexia and in severe and leg cramps, and in severe it is present as a dyspnea, palpitation and the giddiness. How will you confirm? In the eyes, there is a pallor present, nail pallor present, There is a glossitis and stomatitis, edema of the leg. Investigations. You can differentiate by doing CBC, PS means peripheral smear, and HB electrophoresis to rule out any hemoglobinopathies. So simply once you diagnose it's anemia, it's your duty to see what is the cause. Whether it's iron deficiency anemia, where you can also carry out serum ferritin level also. Or it could be due to hemorrhage, or it could be due to any hemoglobinopathies. Then the degree of anemia. The mild is called HB. When HB is 8 to 9, it is called mild hemog. Up to 10, it is called physiological anemia. When it falls below, means 8 to 9 is mild anemia, 7 to 8 is moderate, and less than 7 is called severe anemia. Treatment. Prophylactics. Prevention is always better than cure. Avoid frequent childbirth. At least there should be the minimum interval gap between two pregnancy. Minimum it should be 2 years. Because once the 9-month pregnancy woman carry and delivers, it loses at least 2 gram percentage of hemoglobin. So it would take at least 2 years for replenishment. So that's why for proper replenishment, minimum 2 years gap should be between two pregnancy. Give the supplementation in pregnancy to each and every lady to prevent prophylactic and to prevent them to go into the pathological anemia. For that, commonly prescribed drug is ferrous fumarate and the ferrous sulfate containing 60 mg of elemented iron. Those who are available in a government hospitals or Anganwadi workers providing, they provide ferrous sulfate 100 mg, which contains 30 mg of elemented iron. So ideally 2 tablets of that ferrous sulfate and ferrous fumarate available in the market should be given along with folic acid. No tea within hour. If the patient is taken iron, simply tell them not to be taken within 1 hour of the tea. So I always prefer to prescribe iron after the meal, after the lunch. Suppose if you advise them to take in the morning, they usually take after the tea or milk. So better to take after lunch, immediately after the lunch. Advise them the iron rich diet. They are dates, jaggery, sugar, the dates, jaggery, green leafy vegetables are mainly the iron rich diet. Advise every pregnant woman to eat a feast of deshi good and chana. It is the ideal best iron source. Early detection of falling HB level. That's why we always tell the patient to do all the pre-op profile, all antenatal profile of and blood investigation as early as possible in the pregnancy. So we should have an idea that this patient may go under the anemia, so we can take a proper preparation or precautions before they end up into the severe anemia. Now, in spite of your all the efforts, patient may develop the anemia. So definitely you three have to treat. So high dose of iron supplementation needed. Now we are going to discuss various iron preparations available in the market. So always there is a dilemma which preparation should be given to whom and to how and the when. The most common iron preparation available in the government hospitals are ferrous sulfate and the ferrous fumarate. The government preparation available are ferrous sulfate and ferrous fumarate 100 mg of iron containing 30 mg of elemented iron. It is cheap. Oral market preparations are also available. Ferrous sulfate and ferrous fumarate like capsule Otrine, capsule Levogen. They all are ferrous sulfate or ferrous fumarate. They all are cheap and good, but the only problem is acidity. The acidity is very higher with ferrous sulfate and ferrous fumarate. So before 20 years, suppose when I was a resident, these preparations we commonly used this preparation to each and every patient. But as the generation going on, there are lots of problem and lots of the fussy patient comes with complaint of nausea, vomiting, GI disturbance. So at present in the practice, nobody, mostly no doctor prescribing this ferrous sulfate and ferrous fumarate. Now all are fond of to prescribe the ferrous ascorbate or ferrous ascorbic acid. It is costly. Suppose it's a 9 rupees per tablet, where ferrous sulfate and ferrous fumarate are 2 to 3 rupees tablet. That is the big difference. But most of the consultant prescribe the ferrous ascorbate. It's a 100%. It's a good rather over the ferrous sulfate. Absorption is good, result is good, but it's a costly. And tolerance is always better with ferrous ascorbate. How can you find the medicine that available as a like a Levosan Z, like Otrine? They are the commonly prescribed drug all over the India. So now they come up with XT. XT means ascorbic acid. So they made up Levogen XT, Otrine XT, Orofer XT. So XT, whatever in iron, XT represent ascorbic acid. So 100 milligram ferrous ascorbate is generally given and it is equal to 60 milligram elemented iron. It is believed that because absorption of this ascorbate is good over the ferrous sulfate. So that's why we usually prescribe ferrous ascorbate. But ferrous sulfate is also good. The most common preparation you want to prescribe is, as I told you, Levogen Z and Otrine tablet are commonly widely prescribed most brand drug in iron preparation for ferrous sulfate and ferrous fumarate. And XT, Levogen XT, Otrine XT and Orofer XT are most commonly prescribed iron preparation iron drug in India. Sometimes patients are fussy even with ferrous ascorbate also. They have more GI problem. So one preparation is ferrous ammonium citrate. Tolerance is good but absorption is less. The most used drug for this is Dex orange tablet, or mostly all iron syrup preparations are of ferrous ammonium citrate और ferrous gluconate. जो आयन की सिरप आती है उसमें मेनली दे आर अमोनियम साइट्रेट और फेरस ग्लूकोनेट, बट absorption is very less with this molecule. So usually we not recommend to prescribe this. But if patient is very fussy, something is better than nothing, then we prescribe the Dex orange tablet or any good syrup preparation. Give it daily and reevaluate after 3 weeks. Usually 4 weeks after 1 month. HB with this oral preparation. HB will raise, if patient is taken in a proper way, proper manner, HB will raise 1.5 gram per 1.5 gram per DL after 1 month. So it will take 1 month to raise 1.5 gram HB with this ferrous ascorbate and ferrous sulfate. Ferrous gluconate may take up to 3 months to raise it because absorption is less. Then the parenteral route. If there is a severe anemia, or when the pregnancy is when the anemia diagnosed at a term and we have no chance
or it diagnosed around at 30 to 34 weeks. So we can't wait for oral preparations to raise a HB, or when the patient is very fussy and cannot and do not want to take oral medication, then the parenteral preparations. Amongst that, IV route, iron sucrose, ferrous sucrose preparations are available. There are lots of preparation available in the market. Variety are there. Iron polymaltose complex are lots of iron preparation available in the market, and even before 15 years or 20 years, people are scared to use this iron preparation because of their anaphylactic reaction, and because of much side effects and the adverse effect. So they are scared even to give this iron preparation. At right now present, I see we prescribe the patient to take this, and they when go to the GP, general practitioner, they refuse to give them. Here the scenario is like that because they are so scared that they don't give the patient this iron sucrose. When I will talk to them on the phone, then only they give the iron preparation. But tell me one thing, it's a very safe. I am using since 10 years, but the brand should be trusted brand. So always I give the Orofer S 100 milligram IV in 100 ml NS over 10 minutes, and you should be stand by the side of the bed to the patient when you give this iron sucrose. Still now, I have not reported a single case, single anaphylactic shock or any adverse reaction with this preparation. Orofer S and one is Orofer FCM solution available. That Orofer FCM is 1000 milligram preparation available. So 5 injection of Orofer S is equal to Orofer 1 Orofer FCM. But the company people are telling that it's a safe, but in my practice, my one case, I had found the little anaphylactic reaction with Orofer FCM. So I had stopped to give the FCM, and now I'm totally, whenever I want to give, I always give the Orofer S, Orofer S 100 milligram IV, 100 ml NS over 10 minutes, twice a week injection, 5 injection, and reevaluate after 15 days. With oral parenteral preparation, 15 days is required to raise at least 1.5 gram DL hemoglobin. If the patient is a full term, you don't have even 15 days to raise the HB, then blood transfusion is only remains the option. Always with folic acid, give the always with iron. Folic acid is always given because folic acid is required for the iron absorption. So whenever the you treat the anemia, better to give folic acid along with iron preparation. And if B12 deficiency, give the B12 injection, big win injection 2500 microgram twice a week for 5 injections are mainly used. For B12 deficiency, oral preparations are available, but frankly, they're not going to respond so much way. So whenever you find the B12 deficiency, better to give the injections over the tablets, and the mouth dissolving strips and all kind of are available, but better to give the injection. That is, I am always trusted on big win injection for B12. Okay, so this completes the anemia. Now you have doubt, can clear, or otherwise we move to the PIH. Please. Yeah, it's not kind of that you can give on alternate day also, but I always remain on a safe side. So that's why in my practice I am giving twice a week. The company people are saying that you can give on alternate day also. So if you feel that you have no time or patient is near term, you can give alternate day also. But if you have time, then better to give it slowly, so patient may not have the so much symptoms or the complaints or tolerance is good. That's why I had made a such protocol. Twice a week for 5 injection would be perfect to raise 1.5 to 2 gram of HB.
अगर आपका HbA उससे भी नहीं बढ़ता है तो देन यू कैन गिव अनदर इंजेक्शन ऑल्सो, बट रिवेल्युएट आफ्टर 15 days. You can give alternate day also. एंड ओरोफर FC, हाँ एक सेकेंड, एंड ओरोफर FCM जो आता है वो तो एक ही इंजेक्शन देना होता है, दैट इज 1000 मिलीग्राम ओरोफर उसमें आता है, सेम ऐसे ही देना होता है. बट आई हैड फाउंड वन रिएक्शन, सो आई स्टॉप टू गिव एज अ लोडिंग. हाँ प्लीज नाउ. या No. It's an iron deficiency anemia protocol. See, we are discussing the iron deficiency anemia. In sickle cell anemia and the thalassaemic anemia, they are all hereditary anemia. So basically, suppose the thalassemia minor का patient है, तो you don't have to give the iron preparation because they already loaded with iron. सो उसमें आप ये आयन दोगे तो इट डोंट हेल्प, इट विल हार्म द पेशेंट. So only in thalassemia minor and sickle cell anemia, we always give the mild form of iron tablets we give, like 30 milligram elemented iron वाली एक tablet हम सबको देते हैं. But still her anemia not improved, we give better to give the blood transfusion rather than this all iron preparation. This is basically the treatment of iron deficiency anemia we are talking about, because it's the most common anemia found. Physiological anemia up to 10 gram and iron deficiency anemia. B12 anemia is megaloblastic anemia. So in that you give the injection B12. Hi, please. Hi, that I told you na. There are lots of preparation available. Not that carboxy maltose complex and maltose complex and sucrose. There are lots of preparations available. Dextran preparations, lots of preparation are available in the market. But the point of this, I am doing using this since 15 years, and I had not found a single anaphylactic reaction, or never I found any problem with this Orofer, as especially I am talking about this brand. Other brand may be good, but always when I have to give, I always put a trust on this brand. In certain cases, I put a trust on simple one brand only. I never use the another brand, whatever the MR comes to me or whatever they give me anything. But once I had trusted that brand, I never choose that brand from my practice. So since 15 years, I am using Orofer S, and I had never encountered the problem and got the very good results. So why I have to choose another preparations also? They may also be good, but I don't have the idea. And dextran and polymaltose complex, they are also come up with this. But the problem is using with this all kind of preparation, there are lots of side effects and you have to prepare for that. So if you are prepared for to treat the anaphylactic shock, then and then you can use different kinds of the preparation in your practice. Otherwise, always do a safe practice. हाँ बोलिए. नियर. हाँ. हाँ बोल. बीटी बोला ना. हाँ बीटी ब्लड ट्रांसफ्यूजन ही देखिए, मैंने बोला ना कि if the pregnancy is near term more than 34 weeks, BT is advisable. बिकॉज देर इज नो रोल. इफ सिवियर एनीमिया है, नियर टर्म है, आपके पास टाइम ही नहीं है, तो देर इज नो रोल टू गिव द पेरेंटल प्रिपरेशन. सो इन सच अ केस यू डेफिनेटली हैव टू गिव द ब्लड ट्रांसफ्यूजन. बट सपोज पेशेंट 32 वीक्स पे एनीमिया डिटेक्ट होता है, आपको लगता है कि आयन ओरल प्रिपरेशन से नहीं हो रहा है, देन इट इज बेटर टू गिव द पेरेंट्रल आयन एट 32 वीक्स पे आप दे देते हो, तो इट इज गुड फॉर द पेशेंट. या सिवियर एनीमिया डिटेक्टेड इन अर्ली प्रेगनेंसी, सपोज आपने 12 वीक्स पे HB उसका 8 ग्राम या 7 ग्राम आया है, तो बेटर टू गिव द ओरल आयन प्रिपरेशन 4 और 5 इंजेक्शन या एटलीस्ट 2 to 3 इंजेक्शन गिव देम and give put then switch over to the oral preparation. So she will maintain उसका 10 more than 10 gram HB she will maintain by the 30 weeks. So it would be good. And always never क्या मैं बोलती हूँ कि if you do the obstetric practice and if you are going to deliver, then please keep a watch on the anemia, because इससे खराब कुछ नहीं होता है. Many people not focus on to treat this, and if this severe chronic anemia patient comes in the labor, definitely you will encounter the PPH and lots of complications. So always treat them from the early stage. Not patient should not and doctor should not run at the end of the stage. So it's a very important to treat as early as possible. Yeah, please, any other one want to ask a question? दे सकते हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं है, बट द कंपनी स्टैंडर्ड प्रोटोकॉल दे गिविंग राइज टू द एनएस इज द आइडियल प्रिपरेशन. नॉर्मल सलाइन का 100 ml का बॉटल मंगा लेने का और उसमें एक इंजेक्शन डाल के, बिकॉज सर्टेन प्रिपरेशन आर सो स्पेसिफिक दैट ना वी डोंट मैनिपुलेट टू एनी वन. द कंपनी इज स्पेसिफिकली मैंशनिंग यू हैव टू गिव इन 100 ml एनएस, दैट्स ऑल. So why want to use another preparation and we have to put a patient and us onto the struggle part? So they recommending this formula. So always give, complete it in a 10 minutes means complete in 10 minutes. नॉट लाइक दैट कि अगर मैं स्लो रखूंगी और रखूंगी तो कॉम्प्लिकेशन कम होगा. तो कंपनी वालों ने कुछ ऐसा फॉर्मूला बनाया है, तो देन फॉलो दैट फॉर्मूला. So take only 100 ml NS. If you don't have 100 ml NS, 500 ml NS की बॉटल में से 400 निकाल देने का, 100 ml में ही डाल के दो. Don't give for 500 ml. So they specifically mention that and give stick to that protocol. Then you never put your life in trouble or your patient life. हाँ हाँ, 1 by 1 पूछिए, कोई बात नहीं, पूछिए. नहीं, सेम ही है आपका, आप सही है, बट पेरेंटल प्रिपरेशन विल रेज HB विद इन 15 days एंड ओरल प्रिपरेशन टेक 1 month. दैट इज द मेन डिफरेंस. सेकंड, कई बार ओरल प्रिपरेशन में पेशेंट मे नॉट टेक ऑन अ रेगुलर बेस. दे नॉट टेक. अगर मैं आपको बैट करती हूँ कि अगर पेशेंट फेरस एस्कॉर्बेट, ओरोफर एक्सपी या अच्छी वाली प्रिपरेशन जो आती है, अगर शी टेक द रेगुलर डेली डोज, then definitely it will raise 1.5 gram HB per 1 month. Definitely. But sometimes what happens, we prescribe the patient may not take on a regular base, or it takes 1 month. So it is the basic difference. Oral preparation take 1 month and iron preparation take 15 days. So अगर severe anemia का patient 7 gram वाला patient detect early stage पे होता है, तो I will always choose the parenteral preparation. But अगर suppose 9 gram HB आता है, तो I never use the parenteral preparation, always used to give the oral preparation. So you have to decide according to at which gestation you are encountering this problem. Always remain on a lower side, never go to the higher side. आपका फर्स्ट चॉइस तो ओरल प्रिपरेशन ही रहना चाहिए, बट ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि आपको एंड में पेशेंट कम्स इन द लेबर एंड एट दैट टाइम हर HB इज बिलो 8 ग्राम और 9 ग्राम. एटलीस्ट अकॉर्डिंग टू द WHO ने ये क्राइटेरिया दिया है, बट आई हैड लर्नड इन माई MRCOG एग्जाम. लंडन जो NHS सिस्टम है, उन लोगों का क्राइटेरिया डिफरेंट है. वो लोग ऐसा बोलते हैं कि फर्स्ट एंड थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर में HB शुड बी मोर देन 11 एंड सेकेंड ट्राइमेस्टर में HB शुड बी मोर देन 10.5. उनका वहाँ का क्राइटेरिया ये है. MRCOG में वो लोग एनीमिया में ऐसे बोलते हैं कि फर्स्ट एंड थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर में योर HB शुड बी मोर देन 11 एंड सेकेंड ट्राइमेस्टर में इट शुड बी मोर देन 10.5. फिर आपको जो भी करना हो, आप ओरल दो, पेरेंटरल दो, आपको जो भी करना हो, बट योर एम शुड बी लाइक दैट पेशेंट्स HB शुड रिमेन मोर देन 11 इन फर्स्ट एंड थर्ड ट्राइमेस्टर and in second trimester it should be more than 10.5. Below all that are considered as anemia and that should be treated. Next one. Yeah. आइडियली हाँ, या आइडियली हमारा जो गवर्नमेंट का जो प्रोटोकॉल है ना, उसमें वो लोग बोलते हैं कि 60 मिलीग्राम एलिमेंटेड आयन। तो आपको फेरस सल्फेट या फेरस फ्यूमारेट यूजुअली 100 मिलीग्राम या 200 मिलीग्राम की टैबलेट आती है। तो अगर 200 मिलीग्राम फेरस फ्यूमारेट आप देते हो तो 1 बीडी देते हैं, और ओरोफर एक्सटी है वो 1 ओडी या 1 बीडी दे सकते हैं, बट patient may have GI disturbance, vomiting, nausea. So ideally always start with 1 OD tablet, और अगर severe anemia है and patient can tolerate, you can go up to 1 BD. Never more than that. 1 OD or 1 BD. Because इससे ज़्यादा जाओगे तो definitely patient will come up with vomiting. Any other have question? Please. हाँ बोलिए बोलिए. हाँ वो अलग आता है, पर प्रिपरेशन इज डिफरेंट. ओरोफोरेस यू कांट गिव द आईएम. आप जो आयरन प्रिपरेशन बोल रहे हो वो आयरन डेक्स्ट्रान आता है. आईएम प्रिपरेशन में एक आयरन डेक्स्ट्रान आता है, बट आई हैड ओनली दैट आई हैड रेड इन माय बुक, आई हैड नेवर गिवन इन माय प्रैक्टिस. आप जो बोलते हैं ना उसको आयरन डेक्स्ट्रान बोलते हैं, but only that I had read in books, but never we had tried in our practice, not even in my residency or never in my 20 years of career. हाँ बोलिए. No, no, no. Okay. हाँ देखिए, फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर में तो हम और आयन देंगे ही नहीं, पहली तो बात है. बिकॉज क्या होगा ना कि फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर में पेशेंट को दे सकते हैं, बट पेशेंट में हैव सिवियर नोशिया एंड वॉमिटिंग रहता है. तो फर्स्ट ट्राइमेस्टर में ऑलवेज गिव द फॉलिक एसिड एंड मल्टीविटामिन एंड ऑल काइंड ऑफ दैट. देन ट्राई द ओरोफर एक्सट्री फ्रॉम द सेकेंड ट्राइमेस्टर से आप स्टार्ट करो. मैंने बोला कि सिवियर अगर एनीमिया ज़्यादा है, HB बहुत है, तो ग्रेजुअली इंक्रीज द डोज 1 OD एंड देन ग्रेजुअल इंक्रीज अप टू 1 BD. और अगर न कम है तो 1 OD फॉर 9 months अप टू द डिलीवरी. एंड या आफ्टर द डिलीवरी 90 days 3 months always, when delivered patient comes to me, post delivery always give once OD iron and calcium both preparation for 90 days. बिकॉज जो लॉस हुआ है उसको रिप्लेनिश होने में मिनिमम इट शुड बी गिवन अप टू पोस्ट डिलीवरी 3 months तक हम लोग देते हैं. Everyone clear regarding the anemia? So, okay. So now we move to the PIH, hypertensive disorder. Hypertensive disorder in the pregnancy. So when you call the first, there are certain terminology that's we are going to discuss. When you called hypertension, the blood pressure more than or equal to 140 by 90 millimeter of the mercury, measured 2 times with at least a 6-hour interval. आप हाइपरटेंसिव किसको बोलेंगे? When you had measured the blood pressure at 6-hour interval 2 times and still it remains more than 140 by 90, associated with or without proteinuria. blood pressure more than 140/90 associated with proteinuria or without proteinuria. What is gestational hypertension? When blood pressure more than 140/90 for the first time detected in the pregnancy after 20 weeks of gestation, then it is called gestational hypertension. When gestational hypertension associated with proteinuria, it is called preeclampsia. And woman with preeclampsia complicated with convulsion, it is called eclampsia. So clear these three terminology. When you called gestational hypertension, when you called preeclampsia, when you called eclampsia. And all this combined is called PIH, that is called pregnancy induced hypertension. So blood pressure more than or 140/90 detected after 20 weeks of gestation without proteinuria is called gestational hypertension. When it is associated with proteinuria, it is called preeclampsia. That's why if you remember in antenatal visit, I told you always do urine RM in first visit, at 22 weeks, at 28 weeks and at 36 weeks. So you can all detect from proteinuria also. If the albumin plus या albumin जा रहा है यूरिन में, then you can detect this patient may go into the PIH, because sometimes जो PIH का patient होता है उसमें very early stage से proteinuria होता है, तो by this you can decide that this patient have hypertensive disorder. Then उससे भी severe eclampsia में ध्यान नहीं रहा तो patient may go into the HELLP syndrome. HELLP means hemolysis, elevated liver enzyme and low platelet. HELLP में एक बार patient जाता है तो mortality is very high. Chronic hypertension, known hypertension before the pregnancy and diagnosed before 20 weeks, then it is called chronic hypertension. Superimposed means occurrence of new onset of proteinuria in woman with chronic hypertension. Chronic hypertension होता है और उसमें proteinuria आता है, then it is called superimposed preeclampsia. So these are the basic terminology you should have to know. Preeclampsia, BP more than 140/90, proteinuria after 20 weeks with previous normotensive and non-proteinuric patient. PIH is a combined factor for gestational hypertension, preeclampsia and the eclampsia. Diagnosis: blood pressure more than 140/90 after 20 weeks gestation, detected at two occasions. Pitting edema, painful edema over the ankle, or it may increase up to the abdomen and not relieved with rest. Patient have complaint of increased weight gain more than 2 kg in a month or more than 500 gram in a week associated with proteinuria are the diagnosis for PIH. Treatment: mostly we give the antihypertensive. The first choice of drug to treat the gestational hypertension is labetalol 100 mg 1 BD. If it is not cured with labetalol, add labetalol with methyl dopa 1 TDS. We usually mix up two combined drugs, not more than that. Always first prefer is labetalol. अगर नहीं होता है तो labetalol with methyl dopa या labetalol with nifedipine you can add. Some are using nifedipine, but nifedipine is cause the IUGR. And in severe cases tablet hydralazine, but as a last resort we use the hydralazine because they all have its own side effect. So the first treatment of choice is labetalol with or without methyl dopa, with or without nifedipine is the drug of choice to treat the hypertension and the rest. In PIH care, हाँ बोलिए
मैम, निफेडिपिन शायद मैं पूछना चाह रही थी कि प्रीटर्म लेबर में कंट्रैक्शन हल्के हल्के स्टार्ट हो जाते हैं तब भी दे सकते हैं
या nifedipine. हाँ, actually nifedipine is calcium channel blocker and it is used as a uterine relaxant also. So nifedipine is also used as a uterine relaxant. तो अगर आपको छोटे या कैसा निफेडिपिन क्या है, इट्स अ कैल्शियम चैनल ब्लॉकर. तो उसका जो एक्शन है ना वो इमीडिएट आता है। तो निफेडिपिन जब भी लेबर में एकदम पेशेंट आता है इमरजेंसी में और उसको ब्लड प्रेशर हाई होता है तो यूजुअली वी गिव द निफेडिपिन। पर उसका एक साइड इफेक्ट ये भी है कि कई बार इट कैन लीड्स टू सडन ड्रॉप इन द ब्लड प्रेशर निफेडिपिन से। सो वेरी मीन्स प्रिकॉशन से देना होता है। और अगर आप यूट्राइन रिलैक्सेंट के लिए ये यूज़ करते हो तो ओनली 10 मिलीग्राम। बट इट ऑल्सो वी, हाँ बोलिए
मैम अगर बीपी हाई नहीं है, बस कंट्रक्शन आ रहे हैं तो बीपी
या दे सकते हो निफेडिपिन। they are 10 milligram nifedipine will be okay, no problem. You can give as a uterine relaxant.
मैम कब तक दे सकते हैं?
ये दे सकते हैं, it's a safe nifedipine, it's safe for 9 months, but the only problem is nifedipine can leads to IUGR. So that's why our preference of choice for antihypertensive अगर मुझे लंबे टाइम तक देना है तो बिकॉज लॉट्स ऑफ अदर प्रिपरेशन आर अवेलेबल। सो अगर मुझे पता है कि इससे IUGR होगा तो वाई वी गिव द निफेडिपिन। यूट्राइन रिलैक्सेंट में आइसोक सुप्रीम है, रिटोलान है, देर आर लॉट्स ऑफ प्रिपरेशन अवेलेबल। तो वो सारे प्रिपरेशन है तो मैं क्यों निफेडिपिन दूंगी? या so that's why we are not using as a common, but in labor certain times a sudden result आपको चाहिए तो निफेडिपिन will be okay.
मैम जिगलान वगैरह का इंजेक्शन भी तो आता है, वो दे सकते हैं? IMIG
वो प्रीटम में सीखेंगे ना, कल है ना प्रीटम।
ओके ओके,
वो प्रीटम का है, पूरा लेक्चर है, ठीक है। इसमें मैंने प्री एक्लेम्शिया इंक्लूड नहीं किया बिकॉज इट्स ए टर्शरी लेवल सेंटर। अगर मैं तो सबको बोलती, इवन एट माय सेंटर सपोज पेशेंट का ब्लड प्रेशर मोर देन 160/110 होता है तो वी रिफर टू द टर्शरी सेंटर बिकॉज वी रन द प्राइवेट सेंटर। सो वी हैव द ऑपरेशन थिएटर फैसिलिटी एंड एवरीथिंग, बट वी डोंट हैव द वेंटिलेटर फैसिलिटी एंड द ICU फैसिलिटी. So pre-eclampsia patient या eclampsia patient, once you do the cesarean section, post CS scissors and everything complication can be there. Patient may have a stroke, so better to do in a very well tertiary center with well ventilator occupied in ICU. So हम लोग treat नहीं करते हैं, so that's why I had not included. So up to OPD level you can give this all oral medications. Severe में injectable hydralazine injectable सब देते हैं, but in practice if you want to do the safe practice, never use in your practice. Up to this level you can do your best, and इससे control नहीं होता है, better to transfer the patient. So the most common antihypertensive we use is labetalol and methyl dopa. और अगर आपको immediate result चाहिए तो nifedipine would be the best. And when any PIH patient, always IUGR would be there. So be ready to treat IUGR in such a patient. Clear everyone?
Yes ma'am.
Okay. Tomorrow I had some work, my lab work and full day work है मेरा, तो tomorrow lecture would not be possible. So we would take a lecture on Monday. मंडे कोर्स शायद ख़त्म होगा, और अगर नहीं ख़त्म होता है आपके बिकॉज ओनली 2 चैप्टर्स आर लेफ्ट और 2 टॉपिक्स, वन है प्रीटम एंड वन है पोस्ट डिलीवरी कॉम्प्लिकेशन. सो उसमें पोस्ट मैस्टाइटिस, लैक्टेशनल फेल्योर, इंक्रीज लैक्टेशन के लिए क्या देते हैं, एवरीथिंग आई हैड इंक्लूडेड. तो अगर वो मंडे ख़त्म होता है तो वी विल ट्राई टू मंडे, और अगर नहीं है आपके क्वेश्चंस है तो वी विल एक्सटेंड अप टू ट्यूसडे. टुमारो आई वोंट बी एबल टू टेक अ लेक्चर. हाँ बोलिए
मैम, कल वाला जो वीडियो नहीं आया उसके थोड़ा कभी जब आपको टाइम मिले तो रिवीजन करा सकते हैं आप?
हाँ कोई बात नहीं, अगर नेक्स्ट बैच में मैं वही बोलती हूँ कि मैं तो आपको सबको मेरा ब्रॉडकास्ट लिस्ट में आप सबका नंबर मैंने डाला हुआ ही है, तो मेरे जैसे जैसे बैचेस आएगी ना तो आपको मैसेज आएंगे. तो अगर आपका मीन सपोज ऑब्स्टेट्रिक है तो आप ज्वाइन हो सकते हो उसमें, और अगर नेक्स्ट जब मैं लेक्चर लूँगी तो आई विल डू द रिकॉर्डिंग एंड आई विल पुट इन योर ग्रुप.
ओके मैम, थैंक यू मैम.
ओके
मैम
हाँ बोलिए।
मैम कल कंप्लीट एबॉर्शन में मैम मेथर्जिन और डॉक्सीसाइक्लिन आपने बताया था, तो इसका मैम डोज और कितने मतलब कितना हो
या
बीडी या ओडी कैसे?
100 milligram 1 BD for 7 to 10 days. ओके
मैम डॉक्सीसाइक्लिन का क्या होगा मैम?
simple, it's antibiotic, mainly it covers the gram negative aerobic bacteria. So gynec में mostly non pregnant condition में doxycycline is the preferred choice of drug as antibiotic.
मैम मेथर्जिन का भी बता दीजिए जो बता रहे
क्या किसका?
मेथर्जिन।
मिथर्जिन, हाँ मिथर्जिन इज अर्गोमेट्रिन 1 TDS फॉर 5 to 7 days या 5 to 10 days के लिए हम देते हैं टू इवैक्यूएट द प्रोडक्ट ऑफ कंसेप्शन. इट जनरली बेसिकली इट कॉज द कॉन्ट्रैक्शन और कुछ बचा हुआ RPOC होता है तो उसे एक्सपेल करने में हेल्प करता है.
ओके मैम।
ठीक है, गुड बाय हैप्पी वीकेंड. Sorry for tomorrow. Yeah, tomorrow not possible. So meet on Monday 5 PM. प्रीटर्म है और पोस्ट डिलीवरी कॉम्प्लिकेशन है. देखते हैं मंडे या ट्यूसडे मे बी विल बी द लास्ट डे. ओके
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you,
ma'am.
ma'am.